Hello YouTube, it's Little Derek Comics back with another video, and today we are going to be reacting and breaking down the Phoenix Fire and Life Incarnate trailer in Marvel Rivals. So, I'm gonna give my initial reactions. I've never seen this before and let the video play out one time, and then I'm gonna go back and break everything down piece by piece. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, ignite the battle. All right. She looks sick. She looks sick. I like the little extra persona she's got with her. I guess they combine to one character.
And I was holding back.
Okay, so she's got headshots and everything.
Cosmic flame.
I can't tell if that's like a burn effect or if that's some marking she's got. It's definitely burn. It's definitely, oh my god. Yo. She's about to give Johnny a run for his money. This is like what Johnny should have been, it looks like. I do love Johnny in the game though, but... Okay, here's the ult. Oh, that's like a Scarlet Witch thing. Is that a... Oh, snap. Yo, what? Okay, I gotta look back at... Okay, July 11th. Okay, we know that. All right, let's get back into it. All right, now we are actually going to get into the breakdown, but before we do that, I did want to mention that we do have the new Clintar stage, the Celestial Husk, and this is a domination stage, and I'm so happy that we get a Clintar domination stage. I just love domination stages regardless. They're my favorite, and I'm really happy for that. I can't wait for the season to start, but let's go ahead and break down Jean Grey, right? Okay, so I have this on a slightly slower speed, but we're just going to point out some things. So we're going to say this is section 1, right? And we're going to break this into different sections. So first off, off rip, we have her left click, and she's a hit stun character, so you can kind of see how fast her, attacks come out. She'll be a really good duelist just for the fact that she's hit scan. We don't have too many of those. So that's great, but also I want to point out this little explosion. She comes in and then you see this little kind of meter building up here. And this is what triggers the explosions, right? So she's got this kind of I'm not too big on the Phoenix lore, but I'm guessing this is actually Phoenix. This is Jean Grey. I know they're technically like one. It's kind of like a fusion character, but yeah. So this is a meter. It fills up, and whenever it fills up, you can see Phoenix kind of does that little fist clench and then causes an explosion, and that's going to be very important for her toolkit, especially like later on. But yeah, she gets the explosion and then she gets, two headshots. So obviously her left click does headshots and everything, and we get some very kind of basic ideas of her toolkit just from this first section. So already she seems like a really strong DPS just from her passive with the explosion and just her being able to headshot and being hit scan character. And also one thing I want to point out before we continue is that she does have 275 base health. So not the most health in the roster. Not it's not the lowest. 250 is the lowest. So that sets her apart from some of the healers and other DPS, but she has pretty much as much health as Mantis, if I'm not mistaken. All right, and let's continue to the next part. Okay, so we can kind of see her doing damage here. And right there, Venom comes down and she evades with her shift, her left shift, which is her psychic shift, very ironically. So when she shifts, you can see there's an explosion that happens. So I believe that whenever she does this, so yeah, he comes down and you see how there's like this little ghostly image of her. So I believe that whenever you attack this kind of psychic after image, it causes an explosion. Because you see it detonates right there. Like she didn't attack them with anything else. When she does the shift, she's not attacking at all. and Wolverine doesn't count towards her attacks. Also, she has a team up with Wolverine where he has flames, but that doesn't count towards her attacks. He doesn't even use the flames in this instance. So she goes back, and then right there, her after image or whatever explodes. And that also adds to the meter I was talking about. So fist gets clenched and then explodes. And I want to point out that whenever you have another teammate around you, it causes a chain reaction. So there's a chain explosion that goes on, and we'll see that's very devastating later on. But let's continue. Also, with her shift, yeah, her psychic shift is on a 12-second cooldown, by the way. But you see, she goes into the shift, and then she goes into this flight mode. So you can cancel flight. I think it only goes directly upward. It doesn't have like the kind of input showing to like ascend and descend like somebody like Scarlet Witch would. But this probably has a lot of like similar utility as the Scarlet Witch vanish. Except I don't think you're actually vanishing. You should just be flying up. So they should be able to see you. So maybe a little less utility, but it will get you out of some sticky situations. So that's her E ability. And then she uses one more ability in this section.
Cosmic flame.
So that cosmic flame causes an explosion. It's got like this area effect. So you see it's kind of anything around this kind of area of effect, I guess it's called, will explode. It'll detonate. And you see Thor almost has that meter built up. And so once that fills up, he already exploded and got it about filled up. But that explosion, once it fills up, causes another explosion because the meter's filled up. So Phoenix is gonna blow it up too. So there goes Phoenix. And then that explosion triggers another explosion. So you kind of see where this is going. And I think once the meter fills up and it kind of gets destroyed, or like it fills up and explodes, like detonates the first time, I think the meter's gone because you can kind of see right here, Venom, he had his meter like gone after Thor is dead. So I think whenever the meter fills up and it explodes, it restarts and then you have to start a new meter. However, when it's like the chain explosion, it'll keep like bouncing off of each other. So you really want to stay away from your teammates whenever Jean Grey is on the field. Nothing too special right there, I don't think. But yeah, before we continue, I did want to mention like again that flight has a cooldown on it. You won't be able to like just spam the flight, obviously. It's on a cooldown, but you can kind of use it constantly, kind of like Star-Lord's kind of flight mechanic. You can't just use it the entire match, but as long as the bar fills back up, you can use it. Also, the little cosmic flame is a beam. It's not just like you cause an explosion. You can aim this at the ground. It's kind of like Loki's little splash effect. But yeah, it's also in that kind of you can shoot it at people if that makes sense. It's not just like the actual Phoenix over here where she's just exploding whatever fills up the meter. This is like an actual attack that you can use with her passive. So yeah, I think that'll be all for this section though. This was the second section. Now we're getting into this third section, and this is really cool. Let's get into this. So she's, using her regular attacks, and then, the Phoenix is starting to do the explosion, and just like normal, and you can kind of see how that's causing a slight chain reaction already. And then she uses her right click, which is the Cosmic Flame. I forgot to mention that in the last section, but her Cosmic Flame is her right click. And she uses that, shoots the beam, and then that's when chaos happens. That's when everything blows up. So Strange protecting, and then she's getting the damage from Phoenix, and then sends her explosion. And this is where a lot of the damage is going to come in. So if you're ever in a situation where you're in like a team fight or whatever, you can like throw that down, especially when they're already kind of filled in, like the meter's kind of filled up, and then you can just destroy them. Now, granted, before you guys get excited, before y'all be like, oh man, she's a team wiper, she's a team shredder. No, she's not. No, get that out of your head. You will never in your life You will never in your life be in that situation. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I just want y'all to. I'll even speed it up just a little bit. When will you ever be in a situation where an entire team is trying to fight you in a tight, narrow cave, especially if they know how Jean Grey works? You will never be in that situation. So I just want to temper your expectations and let you know, okay, she can do this. That's why they put it in the trailer, but you will almost never be that lucky to have all your team in a tight, narrow space like that. Even if you had a whole team out for you to fight, they will never be that close. Team fights are kind of almost like individual 1v1s and 2v2s. Half the time you're not even fighting a full team. There might be 3 people, maybe 4, 2 might have died, you might have a healer. So keep that in mind. And I don't quite know what those explosions will do against something like a gamma shield either. Keep in mind that that's something she could do, but don't be all excited like, oh, I'm just gonna blow away teams. That's not how this is gonna work half the time. I can almost guarantee you that. I also want to point out that she doesn't have burn damage similar to the torch. She thrives off of explosions rather than burn damage. And even with Torch, his normal attacks don't do burn damage. They're just attacks, and then he can set up like ground-based burn. So, I think it's his E ability. He throws down on the ground and then it'll do a burn. And then if you make the shapes and stuff like that, that whole area will do a burn. But that's very rare in Rivals. We do have it now with Wolverine and his team up for this. So I did just want to point that out though. But yeah, let's move on to section 3. So we kind of see her playing at an off angle, and she's kind of just, throwing damage, filling the meter. We get the explosion. And this is a bit of her movement. So she does the flight and then cancels the flight into her shift. And I think when she does this, she doesn't get the clone that explodes. It kind of made it sound like there was an explosion happening behind her. I think that might have been what that purple little effect was right there. Yeah, she can make the clone. So you can cancel her flight into her shift and kind of vice versa, and it'll still give like the explosion. So it'll still be on the same cooldown. So it's nothing too special, but it is a good movement option to have. And then you can see her kind of come back, flanks around the corner, sends down the E ability or the right click ability, and then just destroys people. Even beats out the Emma ult. She can be very deadly. And again, I want to point out that you will hardly ever have the team packed up in one area. The healer will probably be in the back. Emma will be a little bit upwards, and Hela will probably be somewhere off in the middle or something like that. She's not gonna stick that close to her team most of the time. This is a very rare situation. I want to really stress that point. And then this gets to our last part, and I think this is one of the most important and just game changing things, which she already just the chain reaction is already game changing. But let's talk about her ult. So she's doing her damage and everything, and then she gets her passive explosion, flies up, and this is, artistically speaking, this is amazing. I want to point out that the season does revolve around Phoenix and Hela as kind of the opposition to each other. So the fact that they did this is really cool. I like how they played that out. But this is also just a cool demonstration of what her ult can do outside of just it being lore accurate. So she gets her ultimate. She flies in the air with Hela. Amazing again. But you see how there's like this impact, so you can left click to start it. So you could probably just look around the area, left click, and then go into your ultimate. But look what it does. She runs right through Hela, like it. And I don't even, she throws it at her, like Hela throws the attack. You can see it here. Like, watch, boom, she hits the attack and takes no damage. There's no damage taken. She ran right through her ultimate attacks and her ultimate. She didn't kill Hela or anything like that, because I want to say once you take her out of her ultimate, she goes right back down to the ground. But she was about dead anyway. I don't remember if she gets her health back from her ult. I don't think she does. But look at what else. So after she initiates it, it's on a 19-second cooldown. And she kind of hits the ground pretty fast, but I think you can kind of maneuver where you want to go. She's just kind of nose diving on this though. And I guess there's 400 damage you can take while you're in this, so I guess you can't, stick around in the air too long. Matter of fact, I think the whole 20-second cooldown is from when you start it too. So even if you don't left click and start the animation of you diving, I think anytime you're in the air is on that 20-second cooldown. That would make a lot more sense. But I think you do still get that maneuverability. But semantics, let's get into this part right here. Look at what she does when she lands. So she's aiming directly at Groot, pretty much, and this kind of general area. And Groot has overshield. Rocket has his ult down, and Penny's got all these mines and everything. And look what happens. Boom, huge explosion. And you can kind of see this is, I want to say, the main area where everything, is hit. This will probably take the most damage, I'm imagining. But look at how far these flames extend. It's insane. But what do, right? The entire field of Groot walls, Rocket and Penny mines and revive packs and everything. Look right here. Look at all this Rocket stuff he had down that's just gone. Penny mine, gone. Psylocke, gone. Rocket Raccoon, gone. Hela, gone. Hela wasn't dead. Hela's gone now. That's insane. Rips through Hela, destroys the Rocket ult, as well as the DPS. The only people she didn't take out are Groot and Penny, who are tanks. Now, they already had a little bit of health gone or whatever. They did have an overshield, but that probably would have been the equivalent of their full health. So this is not going to take out any tanks. It's not going to team wipe. It's not a team wiping type of ult. And if you honestly have something like Invis ult or Cloak and Dagger ult, I don't think this is destroying a team. I think she's going to get countered by the healer ults, with the exception of Rockets, because she can just destroy Rockets. But just think of what all she can do with that. If Loki puts down his little field of like healing or whatever, I think she just destroys that. Not to mention, she can rip through other ults. Imagine if you have Magneto doing the dunk. She can rip through the ball, if I'm not mistaken. She doesn't take damage during the ult, and she rips through other ults. So I think this is a mag counter. I think there's certain other ultimate abilities that she'd be able to counter. Yeah, like I think this is not wiping a team or anything, like I said, but I think this will be an amazing counter ult. So this is one that you'll want to save. Unless you see the team is like the enemy team is about to die, you don't really want to use this offensively. You want to use this more defensively to counter other ults and maybe finish off a team if they're like on the verge of dying. But you probably usually want to wait till after you see an Invis ult or something like that, just in case. I can't imagine this countering some of the better healing ults, but that is a good counter ult. That is an amazing counter ult. The fact that she can not only do a ton of damage to people, I think anybody that's not a tank is going to die from this if they're in that range. I don't know how much damage it does from like where the flames extend, but that does. Look at that. Look at how far those flames. It extends past the like mission area. It's insane. So yeah, I think that part's going to be awesome, and the fact that she can just destroy anything on the field, that is another thing that's going to be useful for. If there's a ton of stuff on the field, if y'all need to get in, she'll be good to shut a lot of stuff down. Shut down the BRB, the ults, maybe even potential other ults, enemy ults. It's going to be sick. And the fact that you can maneuver it too, you can probably launch this. You can probably use this skid across the map depending on how the aim is, but yeah, which wouldn't be, I mean, that would be a good surprise attack if you needed to get to the mission area before they like take it and then just crash down to get there. Maybe that into Strange Portal might be nice. I don't know. But I think that's great. So yeah, I'm gonna let this play out one more time and then just give my thoughts. But yeah, I think she's amazing. What do I think is gonna come from this? I think there's going to be a burn meta, because you have characters now. I know that, Phoenix can't burn herself per se, but she can team up with Wolverine. Wolverine can initiate a burn, and now we have the team up with Spider-Man and Johnny, where Spider-Man can burn opponents, and then you'd also have Johnny, who can burn opponents. And if you had those three specific DPS, there is a lot of just overall damage that can come, and then you wouldn't even really need, you know, Phoenix to sit there trying to wait for the team to get together to blow them up. Just the burn on top of her kind of explosions would be insane. So I think there can be a lot of area of damage type of meta going on, even if it's not just the burn, even if it's like other things that kind of leave damage over time, like the penny mines on top of Johnny's fire, on top of Wolverine, you know, tagging people with his team up. I think all that might lead to an overall kind of residual damage meta. Or we'll have to wait to see how that goes. She's probably gonna get an X-Men skin too. I can see that coming. They've put a lot of X-Men skins on the X-Men characters, as they should, and I think she'll probably get one next just because she doesn't have it. I think that'll be sick. But am I gonna play Jean Grey? I am. Like, I feel like she looks so awesome. This looks like such a fun DPS. She looks like she'll be probably really good in the meta. I don't think she'll be, depending on how crazy that explosion, like the chain explosions actually are, I can see her getting banned. Wolverine's probably gonna get banned more so than anything, just because now he has another team up and he's already kind of got banned sometimes just with him being able to shred tanks. I don't think this is gonna change much of the flyer meta, but yeah, I think she looks amazing. I can't wait till she comes out, and I think the stage and everything is gonna make the game really fresh and exciting. So I think they're really cooked with this, but let me know what you think about Phoenix. Are you gonna main them? Are you gonna play them? Do you not care? Do you think the gameplay looks lame? Is the game dead? Let me know all that in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe. And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.